Sasha. You are listening to Mary Farfisa out Space Radio Theater.
You want to dance all day. Jazz makes you want to dance all day.
I know what you mean. It sure makes me feel like dancing.
Well, Mr. Keeshan, it made the people of New Orleans feel like dancing, too.
So they started taking a little of the marching feel out of their music.
They sort of made it smoother and lighter sounding.
And they called it jazz.
But I thought everything we've been listening to was called jazz.
Not quite. Everything we've been listening to is a part of jazz.
African drums,
work songs,
folk songs from Europe,
spirituals,
and marching band music.
They all went into the musical melting pot.
And now, for the first time, the music was coming out as what we call jazz. Real, honest-to-goodness Dixieland jazz.
Well, now, I was hoping you'd get around to that, because I want to know, just what is a blue note?
Well, it's a note you hear in a kind of jazz that's known as the blues. I said it's a note you hear in a kind of jazz that's known as the blues. When you hear that note, you feel blue right down to your shoes. Well, you can look, but you won't find this note in any music store in town. Yes, you can look, but you won't find this note in any music store in town. 'Cause it's a note you can sing, but it's a note that you can't write down. between two other notes. That's what I said. If you want to sing a blue note, you gotta carry it round in your head. If you sing exactly on the notes, there's a feeling that you're bound to lose. But if you slip and slide around between the notes, you'll be singing the blues, the blue note blues.
Jazz has a special sadness when the notes are blue. But jazz has a special happiness too.
And one of the happiest kinds of jazz is ragtime.
And that's what you're gonna hear right now.
Why do they call it ragtime?
When they tear a tune to tatter, still there's nothing left that matters but the raggedy ragtime beat. Your feet begin a tappy tap and something happy starts to happen. Every raggedy and you meet will greet you with a smile, ragtime style. Ask you, would you, maybe could you dance a while? Every worry scatters when they tear a tune to tatter. Still there's nothing left that matters, I repeat. Nothing left that matters but the raggedy rag. I said the raggedy rag.
Oh, that's ragtime, huh?
I said the raggedy rag.
I get the idea, uh-huh.
I said the raggedy rag.
All right, that's enough, I understand.
I said the raggedy rag.
Well, I get you, it's perfectly clear. You see, you don't have
said
to...
the raggedy rag time beat.
Well, all right now, honey dreamers. If I'm counting right, so far we've heard 4 different kinds of jazz. Marching band jazz, Dixieland, the blues, and ragtime. Now there are more, aren't there?
Lots. We're just beginning. Feel up to another trip?
Why, sure. Where to this time?
Kansas City.
Here's another kind of jazz on the piano.
It's called boogie woogie.
Yeah, and if you listen real closely, you can hear that it's sort of a combination of ragtime and blues, especially blues in the right-hand part.
Oh, you mean the higher notes, the ones at the top of the keyboard.
Right.
And with the left hand, the pianist used to really pound away as they pushed the rhythm along.
And when did this boogie-woogie jazz start?
Oh, about 30 or 40 years ago.
And did it start in Kansas City?
Well, can't say for sure, but that's where a lot of famous boogie-woogie pianists did come from.
But jazz was spreading out all over.
And you could hear boogie-woogie in New Orleans.
And Texas.
And Oklahoma.
And St. Louis.
And Chicago.
And in New York, too?
Sure. But there, up in Harlem, and in some other places too, jazz was getting smoother.
And softer, too.
And swing was becoming the thing.
That's what I'd call wonderful music for dancing.
Back in the 30s, lots of people felt the same way.
Especially young people.
And as more people came to dance to swing in bigger places, the swing bands got bigger and bigger, too.
And soon all over the country, people were listening and dancing to music like this.
Jazz was swinging and smooth.
But a lot of it began to sound the same.
Well, what happened then?
Some musicians around New York began to experiment, just the way classical composers were experimenting.
And what kind of jazz was this?
Rebop, bebop, and bop. Rebop, bebop, bop.
That didn't sound much like the other kinds of jazz to me.
It was different, you're right. So different that not many people could understand it.
Well, it didn't seem to me to have the heart and the warmth of the other kinds of jazz we've heard.
How true.
That was the beginning of cool jazz.
But the warmth of jazz, the swinging beat, refused to be frozen out.
And soon, musicians everywhere were combining some of the new cool sounds with some of the warm feeling of earlier jazz.
This is the jazz of today. This is modern jazz.
Well, now, I think I know jazz when I hear it, but if somebody were to ask me, what is jazz, I'm still not sure I'd know what to say. Can't you tell me, nice and simple, what is jazz?
Jazz is...
Yes?
Jazz is...
I think they're going to tell me.
Mr. Keeshan, don't you know what jazz is yet?
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me.
We won't tell you, we'll show you. Listen, sing a tune.
Oh, any tune?
Yes, any tune.
All right, now let me see. Oh, I know. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
Hold it, that's enough. Now listen.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
Row your boat
Merrily,
gently down the
merrily,
stream.
merrily, merrily, life is but a dream.
Merrily, merrily. Oh, they're playing marching band jazz. Now, that's ragtime. There's good old Dixieland. I know that one. Boogie Woogie. Ah, swing. Real cool. Bop. Now we're up to date. Modern jazz.
Now you know what jazz is?
I think so. For one thing, it's made up of lots of different kinds of music from lots of different places, isn't it?
Yes.
But the combination is strictly an American one, isn't it?
Yes. Jazz is American music, all right. But go on.
And what it is, well, it's a way of playing any music. A certain American way of playing any kind of music at all.
You are right. Jazz has a certain beat that makes you want to dance all day. Jazz has a sound so sweet, it makes you want to float away. Jazz has a special sadness when the notes are blue, but jazz has a special happiness too, like ooga-doo. Jazz has a way of saying everybody have a ball. Jazz is just a way of playing any kind of music at all. What we call jazz is this way of playing